A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this curtain raiser event for 0 Hour, the online inter-school international debate organized by Notebook. It is our privilege to have all of you with us today. Before we start, a warm welcome to everybody who has joined us. We can still see people who are pouring in, so I'm guessing a few more people would join along the way. But without waiting any further, we shall move on and start. Before I start, it is my job to welcome Mr. Philip Barrett to say a few words about what we expect of this event. Mr. Barrett is an advisor to Notebook and has been with us for a while. He has added immense value in terms of his expertise, his long years of experience in teaching at various eminent institutions. A short video and then we shall give Mr. Barrett the stage. Bharat sir, if you're there, would you like to switch on your camera? Sir, are you there?
Sabayu, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you now.
I'm here. I'm hooked on with my phone, but it says allow Zoom to access your camera from device menu. Okay. I'll just do that.
All right, sir.
Give me a minute. Give me a second.
Sure, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, while we are waiting for a minute for Mr. Barrett to switch on his camera, it has been an absolutely encouraging journey the last week or so since we opened up for registrations. The initial communication that went out said that we are looking for 64 schools to be part of this first edition of the 0 Hour debates. We are very, very happy to report that we've had more than 64 schools that have registered with us. And we are still trying to ensure that we do justice and get them.
Or will you get mom? I'll bring mom. Your mom? Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I can't seem to switch on my camera.
Sir, I think your voice would suffice.
Okay, I'm just trying to get it on my laptop as well.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Most of our attendees already know you from the various webinars. Just a short introduction for the ones who don't. Mr. Barrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster of the illustrious Doon School after about 44 years of teaching across various eminent schools. He served the Doon School in various capacities: the acting headmaster, the deputy headmaster, housemaster, dean of activities, dean of student welfare, and various other posts. It is indeed our privilege to have Mr. Barrett with us. Sir,
yes.
I believe your camera is on now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sabayu. I think I'm addressing about 64 participants. Is that right?
Yes, sir. 64 schools.
Okay, so I'm very happy to be talking to. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
So we can hear you. If you can switch off the other device because there's an echo on your voice.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Perfect, sir.
Yeah. So a very good evening to all of you young aspirants to debating. I have to be very honest to say that I've never been a debater myself, but I've been a very, I've heard a lot of debates and I've adjudicated on many debates. And let me tell you that in the schools I have taught in, a debater is really looked upon with great respect. He is put far above your alpha A sportsman. The debater is king in the schools I've taught in. So, and it's a life skill. It's a life skill, not only when you're debating, but even in a job that you go for, when you sit for an interview, something about debating or a debating team on your CV really goes a long way. Um, it's the power of negotiation, the power of um, persuasion, the way you the way you convey your ideas, the way you formulate your ideas into cohesive wholes and thoughts. These are very, very important skills that only debating can do for you. Um, Having said that, debating is a big art. Getting up there to the podium and speaking is not really debating. When I was at the Doon School, we were doing a lot of internal debates and debates within Dehradun, until somebody said, you've got to get out of this town and start clashing swords with the big players. So we started doing a lot of inter-school debate, and then we started doing the world debates. Now, I'm sure you who come from very good schools have heard about the world debates. They used to be held in Slovenia. And at the world debates, you're taking on not just debaters from any schools, but you're taking on debaters from the best schools in the world. And that's where you really hone your skills. There are different forms of debating. As you know, there's the Oxford format, the Cambridge format, there's the parliamentary debate format, there's the adapted Oxford format, and there's so many forms of debate. The ones that Notebook have selected for you is a very simple and a very good form of debate to start with. And as an online debate, I think there's nothing better than this format. Um, some of the things that I have seen along my years as a teacher is, when you debate, it's not about how well you've rehearsed your script, which is on your paper. It's more about how you listen to what the other people say. It's not about getting all your fantastic points out there for the judges. It's about looking and hearing and listening to what your opponents say, and then trying to confute that. You have to use parliamentary language. Your presentation has to be convincing. Screaming and shouting and gesticulating in a Hitler-like fashion may not be what people are going to look for, but it's convincing. It's deep, heartfelt, convincing arguments that are going to see you through. When you give examples, as you should, you have to back up your examples. Please be very careful that you are factually correct. A lot of students will shoot off figures and facts and statistics to prove a point, but if these are not up to date or not correct or not accurate, it doesn't go for you. It goes against you, right? So when you are using facts and examples, please make them pertinent and also very factual and very, very correct and accurate. Do not read out your debate. It is not an exercise in how well you read. Please look up, face the audience, and debate. I think in this format of debate, you're going to have two speakers per school. One is going to speak for, and one is going to speak against the motion. It's very important that you practice and work as a team. And it's a wonderful competition. Debating is a wonderful competition. I think, as I said initially, I envy good debaters. A lot of politicians, a lot of people who are on TV today, I'm sure Shashi Tharoor was an amazing debater in school. I'm absolutely sure. There are so many wonderful people in Parliament today, in the British Parliament and Indian Parliament, who are excellent public speakers because they have come through the school and, of course, the college debating system. You will be judged, you'll be adjudicated by a team of judges. There'll be one from each school, and that's fine. And there will also be an external judge whose decision, if it came to the crunch, would be final. So I just hope that you enjoy it. The main thing is to enjoy the debate, to make it a platform where you can research, where you study, where you learn. It's not the winning and the losing of the debate. It is, how much did I gain from this competition? And once again, once you start debating, you have to move on to bigger things. This is Notebook's first attempt at it, and I'm sure Notebook is going to take this further and higher. And I wish that all of you, once you become really good college level debaters, will look back on this debate and say, this is where it all started. This is the chance I got to first discover that I have the skills of debating. And having said that, I'm going to hand this over to Shubayu. I might come on later if I have a few ideas, but back to you, Shubayu.
Thank you so much, sir. Every week, Achin has the difficult job of following you. You coming on video has made it all the more difficult for me. Thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my turn to take you through the rules of the debate. Before we go on to the rules of the debate, a couple of things that I should perhaps lay as the ground rules of this session. As you can all see, you have been admitted as attendees to this webinar. However, the idea is to have all of you contribute to this discussion as well. You can see that there is a Q&A window at the bottom of your screen. We've already had some questions coming in. If you have a question, please type it in or just say, I have a question. And we will promote you to a panelist so that we can see you on video and you can then ask your question to myself, Mr. Barrett, and the others who are here to answer those doubts. Before we go into the questions, let me take a few minutes to walk you through the rules of this particular 0-hour debate. As you would have all seen from the communication that we sent out, every school has been asked to send 3 people, 1 teacher and 2 students. 1 teacher will be the adjudicator, and the 2 students would be the 2 people speaking for and against the given motion. This is more or less the pattern that we would speak in. The bench that you see on the top of your screen saying J1, J2, J3, they are our panel of judges. J2 is the neutral judge. J1, S1, and S2 are the students and the teacher from school 1. And J3, S3, and S4 are the 2 students and the teacher judging from the school 2. The order of speaking, as is given here, is first one school's for speaker will speak. Then the against speaker from the same school gets to speak. Then S3, which is the for speaker for the second school, gets to speak. And finally, the against speaker from the second school gets to speak. This is the initial order. Once this round completes, at the end of this round, we again go back to student 1, who then speaks his rebuttal points based on whatever the against bench has said. The rebuttal would be based from the points from the against bench as such, not directed to a particular school. So if your student speaking for the motion wants to rebut points given by his own classmate or teammate who's sitting on the against bench, they are welcome to do so, and this will actually earn them points. I believe all of you have the scoring criteria with you. After every speaker gets a turn to speak, this screen will show up, which will show the scoring. So after every speaker is done speaking, these numbers, which are 0 right now, will start filling up. The first 3 columns are the 3 judges' scores given out of a total score of 100. The last column here is essentially the score that people will get from the audience poll. This will be filled up at the end of the debate. After all the 4 speakers have spoken and have finished with the rebuttals, the audience would be asked to do a poll by the raising of hands. The student that gets, excuse me, the numbers here would reflect the number of hands that got raised for a particular speaker. And the school that gets the highest number of audience poll points gets additional 25 points added to their score. As you know, in the first rounds of the debate, it's a league system where schools are having 1 debate each. So in every pool, there are 16 schools. 8 debates will decide a leaderboard, and the top 2 teams on that leaderboard will proceed to the quarterfinals. what we will do now is uh, to the question, do all the speakers get to ask rebuttals? Uh, People are not technically asking rebuttals, they are rebutting the points that have been placed by their opposing bench. So if I am a speaker speaking against the motion, I will rebut the points spoken for the motion. In terms of time limit, we have given 5 minutes for the initial uh, arguments and 2 minutes for the rebuttal. The final scores will come up in this format, where the schools would have their scores from the two speakers. The third column is for the audience poll points of 25, and these red circles is where you get the total score for the school. On the points of information, as of now, no. We intend to include points of information from the quarterfinals onwards. So that's a bit of a surprise giveaway, but points of information are not there in the initial league stages of the debate. There's a question regarding the specific breakup of the 100 points. If you refer to the document that has been shared in the rules of the debate, there's a scoring sheet that is given. I will also try and put that up on my screen in a minute. Give me 1 second. If you can now see my screen, this here is the scoring pattern for the debate. I hope that's visible. In case it's not, on the WhatsApp group where we have been talking, we will again share this document so that you have the scoring criteria with you. The numbers given here, 5, 15, 25, 40, 50, these are the points to be allocated. And once the judge believes that the speaker fits any one of these criteria, they can put in the score here. The scores would be automatically tabulated online. You would be able to see the judges' scoring sheets as well as the final points at the end of every speaker's speech. As I said, once we finish with the rules, we will open up the floor so that you can become a panelist yourself and have the discussion with us. So just hold on for a few minutes. What we will do now quickly is show you the list of schools who have signed up and confirmed their participation in the debate. As we said, we are going to form 4 pools of schools who will compete amongst themselves on the leaderboard, and the top 2 schools will then go on to the quarterfinals. I will randomize these groups, and here are the pools. I will leave this on your screens for a few minutes. Please look for your school. You would be competing in that pool with the other schools in your pool. We will be sharing the pools with individual schools as well. So let us quickly generate a schedule, and this is it. Again, don't worry if you can't see this right away. We will be sharing this with you on the WhatsApp group over email as well. Please ensure that the SPOCs who have been identified, the single point of contact for the school, please be reachable on your mobile and your email so that we can communicate with the school and the team through you. As you can see, there are 2 slots. These are the dates here. There's a 3 p.m. slot and a 5 p.m. slot. Barring Wednesdays and Saturdays, there are 2 debates every day. Each debate is expected to last for about an hour. Now, regarding the debate, and I will try and answer the questions that have come up. In terms of rebuttals, uh, the rebuttal is not a question answer. Let's say the topic is this house believes that red is a good color. The person speaking for the motion has said that red is a good color for a lot of reasons, one of them being red is the color of blood. As the speaker speaking against the motion in my rebuttal round, I can say something like, my learned opponent has said that red being the color of blood is a good color. However, the color of blood is also resonant with wars, with lack of peace, with disturbance, and therefore I believe red is not a good color, particularly because red is the color of blood. It will not be a question answer session where I can ask him that why does my learned opponent think that red being the color of blood would be make it a good color. About tech glitches and losing power midway, ma'am, we sincerely hope that is not the case. In case there's a technical glitch or a loss of power, we would obviously pause the time. We'll wait for a few minutes for the student to join back. If the student cannot join back, it is the student's duty to inform the adjudicator from the team on the panel so that we can then rearrange the speaking order. If the student cannot join back until the end of the debate, unfortunately, the student would be marked based on the part of the speech that has been heard by the judges. In terms of audience, here's the thing. There are 25 points riding on audience polls, right? You are free to invite all of your students. You are free to invite parents. You are free to invite friends and family or anybody you want to be a part of the event and watch your students debating. And as such, these people can then take part in the audience poll. Simple logic. The more people you have attending from your side, the easier it is for you to get those 25 points on the audience poll. Ms. Metani, in terms of intervening, that's a big no-no. In any debate, as when the speaker is speaking, the others would be kept on mute. They would be specifically asked not to intervene. The speakers are going to be, just as you saw myself and Mr. Barrett on camera right now, the speakers would come on as panelists. They would be coming on video. It is our earnest request to all the schools to have their students present in the school uniform, because obviously they are representing their schools. Also, recordings of the debates would be up on YouTube for the rest of the world to see. So we would request your students to come on video and be in their school uniforms. While a speaker is presenting his or her motion, the other speakers cannot intervene. They cannot come in between. Even when we introduce the points of information in the quarterfinals stages and onwards, students can raise the point of information using text chat only. In terms of topics, as we said, we will let the topics be known 48 hours before the debate for the league rounds. This time frame will change from the quarterfinals, which we will communicate closer to the dates. There are five broad areas from which the topics have been chosen. I will quickly read those out to you now. So we have topics from technology, trade, commerce and policy, international relations, social inclusion and human rights, and mixed bag. Mixed bag are more general topics. These are what you would typically expect to have lesser amount of research, but more amount of introspection going into a topic. Tejas sir, Sunbeam, Sun City's time slot. Let me quickly, can you see the schedule on the screen? Sunbeam, Sun City. Just give us a second. Sunbeam, Sun City is on 5th of August at 3 p.m. You'll be going up against Krishna Public School. I hope that helps. We will share this schedule with all the teams, so don't worry about it if you're not getting it right away. In terms of exceeding time limit, yes, there are negative points for exceeding time limit. Students are required to adhere to the time limits very, very strictly. And judges would be advised to deduct marks if a student is going over the time limit. In terms of motions getting selected, as we said, one student goes for the motion, another student goes against the motion from the same school team. You are getting the debate topics 48 hours in advance. So the school can decide which student will go for the motion and who will go against the motion. We don't have any say over that. Mr. Reddy, we will be mailing the list of the themes of the topics to you and also putting it up on the WhatsApp group. If there is anybody who has any specific questions before we move on, please let us know. We'll bring you on as a panelist and you can come on video and we can have a chat. Ms. Mulani, the schools would be given a topic ahead of the debate. The topics would range from these five the broad themes that I just outlined, but the specific topic for a particular debate would be given by us. It's not for the schools to choose. In terms of getting to know when the time limit is getting over, we will use the chat function to mark the student at the 3 minutes mark, the 4 minutes mark, and the 5 minutes mark during the first argument. And during the rebuttal, we will again ping the students at a 1 minute mark and the 2 minute mark. We are doing the entire thing on the Zoom platform for now. We have been using this platform for the last 100 odd days to have the Together for Education webinars. And we have had very good results and very good experience for all our viewers. So we are sticking to Zoom for now. Schools unfortunately cannot choose their themes, Ms. Dixit. And missing, you don't have to speak against a school. Let me try and go back to that slide once again. So if you can see the screen, let's say there are two schools. One is the blue school and the other is the yellow school, right? So the blue school has sent a teacher who's J1 and two students S1 and S2. The yellow school has sent a judge or the teacher who's J3 and two students S3 and S4. The for bench comprises of students S1 and S3 from two different schools. And the against bench comprises of students S2 and S4, again from two different schools. Once student S1 speaks for the motion, then student S2 speaks against the motion. During the debate, the students are arguing for and against a motion and not for and against a school per se. Ms. Shankar, the time given to prepare for your debate is the 48 hours. At the end of this session, we will give the topic for the first round of the debate, which is on 18th Saturday. And every school going forward will have 48 hours of preparation time. Do all speakers get 2 minutes extra time for rebuttal? Yes, that is true for all students. Every speaker gets 2 minutes for rebuttal. There's a question that's what happens if a particular school is unable to send an adjudicator from their side? We would strongly recommend that the school does send an adjudicator. In case for whatever reasons an adjudicator cannot be present from the school, the students would be scored based on the average of the two judges' scores. However, you do realize that one judge who's the neutral judge is from our side, would be representing Notebook on the panel of judges. The other judge would be from a particular school. And so you would be starting at a disadvantage if there is no adjudicator from your school. Is a writing pad allowed to note down points? Absolutely. Students are expected to take notes during the debate. Otherwise, how will they rebut? Yes, videos are enabled while debating. We do want the students to come on video and debate. We need to see them speak because there are marks for manner, matter, and method. And manner is by and large part of your body language, and therefore very important that the judges get to see the debater. Mr. Reddy, the debate will be an hour. How long should we speak in a turn? So if you're going in the first turn where you're placing your initial arguments for and against the motion, that would be for 5 minutes. The rebuttal would be for 2 minutes. Uh, S1 will get a chance for rebuttal. Charusika asks, S1 will get a chance for rebuttal after S2 or after S4. S1's rebuttal starts after S4 completes, right? So S1 speaks, we show the scores for S1. S2 speaks, we show the scores for S2. S3 speaks, we show the scores for S3. S4 speaks, we show the scores for S4. This is without the rebuttal points. After S4, we go back to S1. S1 does the rebuttal, and therefore the rebuttal points are updated and the new scorecard is displayed. That's the way we proceed. Ms. Sethi, I understand your school has two teams who want to participate. Given the kind of response we've had, unfortunately, we would not be able to accommodate two teams from one school. I would request you to have an internal debate so that you can decide which two students would represent the school in the league stages. However, let's say your team qualifies from the league stage to the quarterfinal stage. You are free to change your students as you progress along the rounds of the debates. Are participants getting e-certificates of participation? Okay, participants will get e-certificates and physical certificates for participation. There's a gift kit that will reach them from Notebook, which we will dispatch through courier. Also, this is where I announce, and we are very proud to announce, that Johnson & Johnson brand Stayfree has come on board as a partner for this debate, as has Save the Children Foundation. And both of these companies, both of these organizations have announced prizes for the debaters. We will disclose the prizes as and when the students come in and the debates start. Uh, One teacher, do you mean Spock or Spock plus one teacher? Ma'am, if the if the Spock himself or herself comes as the adjudicator, that is perfectly fine. Nothing against it. If the school decides to send a different teacher as the judge, that is also fine. This is entirely up to the school's discretion, and we understand this will have to be based on the availability of the teachers, their schedules, etc. So it's absolutely up to the school to choose who they send as judges. Um, Ms. Vidya Prasanna, I think you missed my initial point. In terms of dress code, we expect students to come in their school uniforms because they are representing their schools wherever possible. If it's too much of an inconvenience, yes, any formal acceptable dress would do. But apart from that, we would seriously recommend the students come in their school uniforms. Ms. Shagil, each speaker gets 5 minutes, not both the speakers. Each speaker for their piece gets 5 minutes for the initial arguments and then 2 minutes for the rebuttal. Uh, Vibhor Bhanmani asks how much time would be allotted in between the speakers. It is just a minute or two that we take to show you the scores, and that's it. You're getting the topics 48 hours beforehand. So we don't expect students to need much more time. And also S1's rebuttal starts after S4 has completed. So S1 gets ample time to prepare for the rebuttal, especially on S2's points and also the 5 minutes that S4 is speaking for. After each round, the scores would be displayed. 5 minutes for and 5 minutes against, that is correct. 10 minutes total for the school team to place their initial arguments. Please don't forget that you also have 4 minutes, 2 minutes for and 2 minutes against in the rebuttals. If you have Spock plus other teachers registered as adjudicators, that is perfectly fine. Ms. Vidya Jaljit, I'm sorry. You said the criteria for an adjudicator was the principal of the institution and she's unavailable. We completely understand that asking a principal to be present for all these rounds of debate is a bit of a stretch. Any senior teacher, principal, vice principal, the coordinator, anybody who represents the teaching staff of the school would be good for us to have an adjudicator. Mr. Reddy, yes, that is correct. I have to team up with a student from the other school who chose the same motion as me. So S1 and S3 on your screen are two students from two different schools, and they will team up to argue for the motion. Ms. Nilima Sethi, I understand you have not registered names of students and judges. If you can just let us know the names about 2 hours before the debate starts, that will be good for us. Yes, Ms. Jacob, we will send all the instructions once more to the registered email ID. We'll also be sharing all of this information on the WhatsApp group. So you are if you are a student participating and your teacher is not part of the group, or if you're a teacher who's participating and want your colleagues to be part of the group, please get them added. Also, the recording of this entire session, the curtain raiser, would be up on YouTube. We will be sharing the link so that any teachers or your colleagues or the parents want to watch this and know what this is all about, need to get more acquainted with the rules, they are free to do so. Ms. Loblinjit, for rebuttal, S1 speaks not on questions. So the rebuttal format is not exactly a question answer format. Rebuttal is essentially rebutting points that have been argued by the opposition. Yes, Ms. Jain, Zoom will be the online platform that we'll be using, just as this one. The order of speaking, as you can see on your screen, will be S1, then S2, then S3, and then S4. So for school 1, against school 1, for school 2, against school. The one point that I would like all of you to remember is, while you are part of a debate that is arguing with other schools, in the league stage, remember, you are actually competing for the top 2 spots on the leaderboard. So for example, let's say on the debate 1, the school A scores 125 points, school B scores 100 points, right? So school A wins. But in the successive debates for pool A, all other teams score below 100. Then school A and school B from that pool will qualify for the quarterfinals because they are rank 1 and rank 2 on the leaderboard. We will be publishing the leaderboard over email and WhatsApp at the end of every day's debates. Akshika ma'am, if you have not yet registered the names of teachers, the adjudicators and the students, you have my email ID, you have our phone numbers, you are part of the WhatsApp group. So feel free to reach out using any medium. We will confirm as and when you do that. Ms. Sarah Jacob, thank you for your number. We'll ensure that it's added to the WhatsApp group. The audience voting will take place using raising of hands. Let us quickly do a test right away. All of you at the bottom of your screens can see a panel that says raise hand, right? Exactly. We can see people raising hand. So at the end of, wow, right now my screen is full of these black rectangles saying people raise hand. Thank you so much for doing that. So at the end of every speaker session, or at the end of the rebuttals of all the 4 speakers, we will ask the audience to vote by raising their hands. So we will go like this. If you believe speaker 1, so and so, was the best speaker of the day, raise your hands. We'll wait. The hands would be raised and we'll see how many hands have been raised, right? We can get to see that count at our end. We will lower all the hands and then we'll say, okay, now for speaker 2, how many of you believe speaker 2 was the best speaker of the day? And we'll see how many hands get raised. And this is how we will decide on the best speaker for the day using audience voting. In case there's a tie in terms of the number of hands raised, the decision of the neutral judge, J2, would be final and binding. Mr. Sarkar, the 5-minute speaking time does not include rebuttals. Your speech can obviously rebut points per se, but if you're going specifically against something an opponent has said, it is recommended that you use the rebuttal time. There is no minimum speaking time. If you believe that you can speak for 30 seconds and bring your points across clearly and are doing the best job of arguing your points, then go for it. There's no minimum time allocated, right? It's all about how well and how clearly you can defend your stand regarding an argument. There's a question says, can we speak on the side of a teammate of another school while he's not able to? Unfortunately, no. Every speaker will have to speak for himself or herself. And that's the whole point of them being the 2 students that you choose to represent your school. We believe these would be the best 2 debaters you have from your school. Excuse me. Ms. McDonald, suppose J1 school qualifies for the semi-final J1 does not have to remain same. With every successive round, we understand that during this lockdown, getting availability for all the rounds is going to be a problem for anybody, be it a teacher or a student. So feel free to change your teams, your students, as well as your judges. Let's say you have a topic that deals with international relations for your league round, and you would choose the two people most qualified in your school to speak about international relations. Going forward, when they move to the quarterfinal, let's say they get something on human rights. You would then perhaps want to change your team and have two students who you believe are most qualified to argue their points when it comes to human rights, right? So this way, for every successive round, you have absolute freedom in terms of choosing your team, your speakers, as well as your adjudicator. I hope that answers your question. Uh, Mr. Surya Pranav, you have asked, wouldn't that allow one audience member to vote for multiple people? Yes, it would, and which is fine. At the end of the day, given a large number of participants who are attending and voting, the person who has spoken the best would obviously receive the most number of votes, right? So if there are 200 people attending and somebody has received, let's say, 120 votes and the other person has received 150 votes, it's obvious that not everybody is just voting once. But the person getting 150 votes has still gotten more votes from the person who's gotten 120 votes, right? So we'll give the points to the team which has the speaker who's getting the 150 votes. Um, can S1 rebut the points of S4? Absolutely. S1 is expected to rebut the points of S2 and S4. There's a question, what if video quality is poor? Will that affect the marking? Absolutely not. The whole point of video is to see the students' gestures, expressions. If the video is not very clear, the experienced teachers who are adjudicators would obviously be in a point to judge from the tone of voice and from whatever video that they can see on how to score the speakers. Students would not be penalized for bad internet connections. Having said that, it is advisable to check your internet connections beforehand and ensure that you have a good connection up and running before the debate starts. Ma'am, in terms of where you would give marks as adjudicators, we would have a separate session with the adjudicators because there is going to be a Google document link that will be shared with you, and you can just there's a drop down and you can just select your choices and the answers would get the points would get automatically filled in. When schools changes members of team, will all of them get awarded if they win? Yes, they will. I believe we've answered most of these questions that we've had. I understand that in the chat there are a few more points. Okay, I think the chat points have also been addressed. A couple of teachers have sent us their numbers. We will add you to the WhatsApp group right after this. There's a question saying, what if we have a problem in understanding the accent of a particular speaker? Will there be an interpreter? This point of having an accent is the entire reason why we have three adjudicators with two adjudicators representing the two schools. Because between the adjudicators, if an adjudicator feels that an accent is being penalized, which will never be the case, that is something that we can guarantee you. But if an accent is making something difficult to understand, then the adjudicator definitely will step in and ensure that the student does not get penalized. We are a country of diversity. We have more than 6,000 mother tongues, if my memory serves me correctly. And therefore, there would be differences in accents, which is perfectly normal, right? We are using English as a common language for this particular session of the debate. In fact, we have plans to expand this debate into vernacular languages. We have plans to even include schools for deaf and dumb with an interpreter interpreting what they're saying in the debate. So don't worry about that. This is a question saying, can a school be registered now? If yes, then what is the process? I don't know if you noticed on the sheet where we listed out all the schools who have given their names. On your right column, the last two are TBD. That's to be decided. We've had more than 100 schools who have signed in, and we are trying to be fair and ensure exactly at what time did the schools sign in on the last day so that we can take the earliest two schools and make them participate. So unfortunately, a new registration at this point will not be possible. However, this is only the first edition. We will have many more such editions coming up. In case the audio gets disconnected, in case there's a technical glitch, don't worry. The student should join back, but let the student inform the adjudicator from that particular school that there has been a technical problem. However, if the student is not able to join back until the end of the debate, then the student will unfortunately be marked on the portion of the debate that the judges could hear. The age criteria, we are open to schools sending students between 14 to 18 years of age, typically classes 9 to 12. Yes, ma'am, Shergil, we will definitely add you to the WhatsApp group. TBD is to be decided. Uh, Manisha, ma'am, we cannot interrupt in between rebuttals as well. When any speaker is speaking, be it their initial points or be it a rebuttal, they cannot be interrupted in between. That's pretty much one of those rules that is held as the holy cow of debating. With that, I believe I have answered most of the questions. If I may invite Bharat sir back for a minute, sir, if you feel that I have left something out and you would want to add.
Thank you, Shubayu. I'm put on my video and okay. Now, Shubayu, only one thing. I know that every speaker has been given 5 minutes, but how do you remind him that he's coming near? Do you have these sort of time cards that you'll flash up, which says 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 4.5, or
Sir, in case of
how are you going to?
in case of this debate, we'll use the chat function. If you've noticed while you're on the video, if I write a chat here saying right now 3 minutes are over, you would perhaps see that popping up at the bottom of your screen.
Yes, I will. Okay.
This is what we will use to mark time to the speakers.
Yes, and will the speakers be penalized if they go over 5 minutes?
Yes, sir. We would have a penalty system based on how long they're going overboard by.
Right. So I think the only thing I have to say now to all the speakers is that there's a very elaborate scoring system. But when you're preparing your debate, please go along with the 3 M's. Matter being the most important, which is the substance of your debate, the subject matter, the research you do, the body of your debate, the facts, the interesting anecdotes. That's your body. That's the matter. And that actually takes a lot of effort. The second M is the manner. Manner is your diction, your pronunciation, your pausing, your grammar, your turn of phrase, your idiom. And the third M is method. A method is how you place your debate, how you challenge your opponents, how you base your arguments, how you cut down your opponent, how you plan out and strategize your debate. You can have the best speaking voice and the best matter, but if you don't strategize and if you haven't debated or countered some of the arguments of your opponents, you won't get the marks. So go according to matter, manner, and method. That's my advice to you. And I just look forward to some fantastic debating. And no matter who you are, no matter if you haven't debated past, or you may be a small school, it doesn't matter. You can have the smallest, most insignificant schools in India producing the best debaters. You're on an even platform. It doesn't mean that a school that has a large name will produce best debaters. Normally, good schools do produce. They produce a lot of debaters from which it's broad-based, so you can pick your best. But this is your opportunity to start debating. This is Notebook's opportunity given to you to start debating. And you will just grow better and better at it. And I wish all the teams the very best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure the teams would take your advice to heart. A few more questions have come in, so before we close, let me try and answer them. I know it's always going to be impossible to answer all questions, for which we have the WhatsApp group. You have my number, you have Meghna's number. Feel free to call us at any given point in time if you have any doubts. A couple of important questions that I feel I need to address. One, there has been a question raised about the veracity of the information that the speakers would share. This is where the importance of the judges come in. The judges are experienced educators, learned people, and as such, we will leave it to their discretion to believe if a student is misquoting facts, is saying something that is untrue, and the marks would be allocated accordingly, right? Uh, Unfortunately, we cannot create a comprehensive list of all sources that we will admit, but we will try and ensure if there are disputes raised even after a debate to address them suitably. However, the neutral judge J2, his or her decision at the end of every debate would be final and binding. Um, okay, can we switch the team in league rounds? How many rounds of debate? Right. So every pool, as you can see, has 16 schools, right? Every school will do one debate in the league round, which is against one other opponent. So 16 schools will take part in 8 debates. From the 8 debates, we will get the scores of all 16 schools, and the leaderboard would essentially reflect those scores. So in the league round, every school has just one debate to participate in. And based on the score of that, you progress to the quarterfinals and then the semis and then the finals. I hope that answers your problem, Akash sir. Right. In terms of the TBD teams, we will be deciding them by end of the day today. By end of the day today, we will share the final pools and the schedule with you. Those will have those teams filled up. Um, any other questions that I may have missed out on? My sincere apologies. Uh, you cannot see my screen, but more than 100 questions flew in during the course of this discussion. And I cannot but thank you for this active participation. It's been enormously encouraging to see the kind of feedback, to see the kind of participation that we're getting for 0 hour. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. Sorry, one last question we'll take. Shreyash asks, so from what I get, let's say if our debate is on the 3rd of August, then you get the topic 48 hours earlier. Yes, Shreyas, that's absolutely correct. 48 hours before your debate is when you get your topics. Charusik asks how many teams will enter the quarterfinals. Essentially, 4 pools are there: Pool A, Pool B, Pool C, and Pool D. Every pool, the top 2 teams go on to the quarterfinals. So 8 teams enter the quarterfinals. 4 teams from those go on to the semifinals. And from there, 2 teams proceed to the finals. And the grand finale happens on 15th of August. With that, I believe it's time for us to now close. Before we end, it is my job to invite Ajin Matacharya for a couple of words. Ajin is the founder and CEO of Notebook. It was Ajin's brainchild that slowly took shape and has now served more than 1 million students across the country with engaging educational audiovisual content. Ajin, please.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to Notebook 0 Hour. As most of you are already aware, we at Notebook have been holding the Together for Education webinars since 2 months. We have got phenomenal response with more than 10,000 participants and 100 eminent speakers from different corners of the world across last 22 sessions. Now today at this hour of humanitarian crisis, when COVID-19 has confined all of us to our homes with limited mobility for essential services, we at Notebook are humbled at the opportunity to connect isolated centers of academic excellence in different corners of the country and world. 0 Hour is another very important initiative by Notebook to engage more actively with the student community, who are the future torchbearers of our society. Now, we look forward to welcome and interact not only with the participants, but also with teachers, friends, and families who I'm sure will encourage and cheer for their teams. The objective is to inspire many and celebrate the spirit of public speaking and encourage the effort. Now, debate, discussion, and public discourse are at the heart of any democratic society. And thus, the importance of developing public speaking skills needs no elaboration. We want students to develop more grace, poise, and self-confidence when they articulate and deliberate their perspective on different topics. With this, I once again welcome and thank all of you and look forward to an exciting month ahead where we get to listen to some of our future leaders who will take the development mantle forward. Thank you, take care, and goodbye. Over to you, Shubhai.
Thank you so much, Ajin. With that, we will now sign off. Before we go, uh, could the representatives from Indian School Algubra and Orchids, the International School Thane, if you are present in the debate, could you please ping me separately on WhatsApp? I will need to communicate your topic to you because your debate starts in about 48 hours from now. Indian School Algubra and Orchids, the International School Thane. If you could please have you ping us on WhatsApp separately, we will share the topic with you. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to sign off. And thank you again for being a part of this. We look forward to an exciting month of debating ahead. Thank you so much. For any other queries you have, feel free to reach out to us at any point in time. Goodbye and take care.